The Ukrainian people are facing countless challenges since the start of the full invasion almost 2 years ago. There is one challenge that is quickly accelerating to become a full-blown public health crisis, and that is mental trauma and PTSD. This is a crowdfunding campaign for a very specific and important design intervention aimed at helping mitigate this crisis. My team and I are designing a non-profit public therapy garden in the heart of Kyiv, where people who suffer from mental trauma can find solace in nature-based, trauma-informed healing spaces, specifically designed for their needs. Using Nordic design principles and experience, we're going to import this important type of garden to Ukraine. We all have people in our lives who suffer from some sort of mental challenge, but it is not hard to imagine that so many people in Ukraine are suffering from mental trauma and PTSD because of the invasion. You can be a part of this project with a financial donation and help us get this garden built. But it will also help us start an incredibly important conversation in Ukraine. I have been working here in Ukraine for more than a year and a half on many other projects regarding urbanism. But I realized that I needed to do something to help tackle the massive challenge that they're facing here, mental trauma. Here's the situation in Ukraine right now. First of all, there are the civilians who are constantly bombarded with missiles and drones all over the country. There's actually an air raid alert right now here in Kyiv. And then there are the people who are affected by the stress of worrying about their loved ones, whether they're in another country as refugees or they are active in the war. And then, of course, there are the men and 50,000 women who are fighting on the front lines in the armed forces of Ukraine. Many of them are deeply affected by their experiences, including those who are also injured or who have lost a limb. Everyone I talk to here in Ukraine understands instantly and intuitively the urgency of this issue. For example, domestic abuse rates are rising fast, mental trauma affecting women and children. Ukraine lags behind in its understanding of the seriousness of mental trauma. The primary goal is to design and build as a pilot project a therapy garden here in Kyiv, but also to create an all-important dialogue about what these therapy gardens can do. But we are seeing much more research coming out these days, especially from the Nordic countries, about the positive evidence-based benefits of immersing oneself in nature generally, and the best practice of designing a garden specifically to be a trauma-informed space, and one that accommodates the different levels of mental trauma. I have found a location here in Kyiv, in the neighborhood that I'm living in, called Podil. It is an abandoned plot of land that has been closed off from the public since buildings were torn down in 1985. I went over the wall with a ladder just a couple of months ago and I explored this plot of land. It is fantastic. Nature has been allowed to flourish in there without any human intervention for almost 40 years. It is a very unique and a rich biodiverse space, which makes it a lot easier to make a therapy garden instead of just starting with an empty plot of land from scratch. I have a great team of internationals and Ukrainians ready to go, and this is what we're going to do. First of all, an archaeologist will survey the land. This is a very historic neighborhood, so a survey is incredibly important. And then a team of university students will go in and study the biodiversity of this space, this incredibly unique plot of land untouched by humans for such a long time in the heart of a big city. Their work will help us understand the specific flora that is in place and what we can add to it later on. Then we will start clearing the land with our amazing army of volunteers. We're going to have to select the bushes and trees that we're going to keep and trim back the rest in order to nudge nature in the right direction and create the space necessary for a therapy garden. We'll design and build the pathways and the benches in collaboration with Ukrainian landscape architects and biologists, creating the all-important secluded zones for people to use for therapy, but also communal spaces where people can gather for interaction. Rainwater collection, a natural irrigation system, you name it. Later on, when the project is complete, we will plan workshops for mental health professionals here in Ukraine who can come to the garden and we can show them what a place like this can do in their work. We are crowdfunding to be able to buy tools, native species of plants, trees, and bushes that we're going to add in order to boost the sensory experience in the garden. We need to get a hold of materials in order to create the pathways, getting recycled wood and bricks in order to make the benches and the seclusion barriers. All of the aspects of designing and creating a therapy garden from start to finish, and all of it sustainable Nordic design. It is my sincere hope that you can help us make this garden happen with a financial donation. and help us start to mitigate this looming mental health crisis in Ukraine. There are so many places in the world where the population could benefit from therapy gardens like this, especially with everything that's happening around the world right now. So I hope that we also inspire people in other parts of the world. But I am here in Ukraine right now, and we have to start somewhere. I'm happy that you're here, checking out this video, checking out the page, and hopefully making a financial donation. That's it from me. Thank you so much for your time. Love and respect from Kyiv.